Is safety more important than privacy? Alright, we are now reaching the end of our debate topics. As a result, we're starting to go ahead and go into a bit more deeper topics. In the end, so here we are. Let's get this started with. Is safety more important than privacy? Privacy itself is a human right. Even in the UN Declaration of Human Rights, privacy was obviously supposed to be included into those rights. And every human being has to have those rights. Totalitarian countries do not care about their rights, except their own rights. But then again, they go ahead and abuse those rights a little too much, which leads to a corrupt government, and the army becoming corrupt, and then the guy himself being destroyed. However, sometimes privacy has to be sacrificed to go ahead and ensure safety of people. But is safety more important than privacy? This is going to be a quite interesting topic. Now, let's start off with our first point of the pros team. Tracking people can keep them safe and can help find them if they're lost. Let's say that someone has something like autism, and you go ahead and literally figure out that that person will probably leave the house and get lost pretty easily unless they have really good memory. And unless you're Sean Murphy, you're not going to get that much out of an autistic person. You can always go ahead and give them a GPS device to go ahead and activate whenever they're lost. And whenever they're lost, they can just stay put or walk around aimlessly, but their GPS device will go ahead and transmit their location to whoever gave them their GPS device. This is pretty useful. Although it means sacrificing of privacy, it does mean safety. And this is usually with consent. And now it's the first point of the cons team. Here we go. Now this one says that people should have control over their own personal data. They should have control over their own personal data, as well as the things that they will say and write. Whatever they say in their right, they have personal data. It's their personal data, and they can choose to share it or not. Honestly, privacy is pretty low in my family. We even have very weak passwords. Joking. Obviously, I have a really strong password. And they have control over their own personal data, too. So, it's just supposes, I guess, to go ahead and let them just write whatever they want and keep it a secret if they want to. Obviously, some of their little annoying little brothers will go ahead and reveal their secrets by just reading it themselves, but this isn't worth much, to be honest. Alright, now it's time for the second point of the pros team. Here we go. Surveillance can stop bullying and other harmful actions. You go ahead and you do some other harmful actions. You go ahead and do some surveillance. And when you do some surveillance, well, you do realize that this will eventually end up in being something like, yes, you can go ahead and stop the bullying. You can figure out who the bully is. I mean, if there are rule breakers in my school and they don't record sounds recording video is legal, but recording sound has to be done with consent, and I'm pretty sure no student ever gave their consent to have their sound recorded. And here's the funny thing: yesterday there was this surveillance footage. The teacher who was in charge of the discipline management went ahead and caught on camera three kids going ahead and walking in forbidden area. One of them was big and fat, and he questioned the big and fat person on saying, "Who's this?" And the big and fat person's like, I don't know, it's probably Xavier or something. It's probably him or something. Yeah, he went ahead and said that. And then later, we couldn't know so because they were had their backs to the camera, and there was no camera in the front view. Now it's the second point, and now it's time for the third point. Or second point, I'm supposing. It's time for the second point of the cons team. Here we go. People should be able to do whatever they want without the need of surveillance. One of the weirdest regulations in America is that it depends on state. There's no federal regulation on how CCTVs work. Some states require you to at least not film the bathroom. And some states require you to, if you want to record sound, you need consent. But they are allowed to go ahead and record video. Just no sound, and sometimes no color. But obviously there is usually color too. Black and white footage only goes so far. And some states somehow make it legal to go ahead and put cameras in bathrooms. Well, that's quite cursed. And now it's time for the third point of the pros team, where they go and say that surveillance can keep people safer by catching criminals. And you go ahead and catch criminals, you go ahead and make sure that this surveillance works out really well. And once you catch the criminal, you can always put them behind bars. It's in CCTV area, so yeah, it works out. And now it's time for the third point of the cons team. Here we go. Privacy is a right, and taking it away could lead to other rights being taken away. When you take away one right, which right is going to be next? You make a fracture, and then you make another fracture, and then you make another fractures connect together, and they eventually go ahead and crack the shield into nothingness. It just goes ahead and breaks your defense. And instead of repairing it, you just leave it like that, and probably just go get a new one, which takes a while. And now it's time for the third point of the cons team here. They say that privacy is a right, and taking it away could lead to other rights being taken away too. I already said that, didn't I? Oh man, I have a very short memory. And now it's time for the fourth point of the bros team. Here we go. Checking a person's property can keep them and others safe from harmful objects such as weapons. Would you rather have someone with a dagger have that dagger confiscated, or would you rather have like someone who doesn't have anything being surveyed, even though they have nothing to hide? And they are quite innocent. And now it's time for the final point of the cons team. Here they say that overstepping privacy boundary will break down trust. When they go ahead and break down trust, well, you really do not want to break down trust of your own child, especially if you're a parent. But in some cases, you might say that it's just for safety, but they'll probably think that it's just an excuse to go ahead and see them do something. But until that day really does come, though, I'm going to have to say that, hey, this business is quite good. And I'm pretty sure that people might suppose that sacrificing their own privacy a little bit is just in the name of safety is quite a good bargain. What do you think, so? Overstepping privacy boundaries certainly break trust boundaries, but not overstepping them might even go ahead and get someone injured or killed at the worst. But until that debate is officially solved, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and tell me your opinion in the comments below. I'll see you guys soon. Until next time, Shahan out, peace. Bye bye.